What's that sound? It's for amusement only, the EM and Bingo Pinball Podcast. Welcome back to For Amusement Only. This is Nick Baldridge. Tonight I wanted to talk about 1960s Bally Fun Spot. Fun Spot is kind of like the sequel to A Lot of Fun, or Fun Way, in that it is an Ohio dime game, as Jeffrey Lawton calls them. So called because they were popular in the Ohio region for operators because they didn't earn replays, and thus were not illegal in that particular territory. Now, instead of replays, what's it give you? It gives you lighted scoring on the Backglass. But instead of giving you the ability to earn hundreds and hundreds of replays, what it gives you the ability to earn are multiple steps on this score counter, which can then be used to start a new game, or, perhaps there were clever locations that could possibly take that and use that to pay off. Who knows? I'm certain some things went on that we may not be privy to. But at any rate, Fun Spot is a 6-card bingo. That means that there are 6 different arrangements of the 25 numbers which are on the playfield. And for each one, if you get 3, 4, or 5 in a row, you'll earn some amount of score, as indicated by the score and instruction cards. Now, on many of the 6-card bingos, there were enticements to keep the player on their toes and make them play for specific cards. On some of the bingos, there were corners, which would randomly light, and if you got a ball in all 4 of the corners, it would score some amount of replays. On some of the bingos, there were things called super lines. Super lines, if you got 3 in a row, it would score as 4. If you got 4 in a row, it would score as if you had gotten a 5 in a row. So this is a pretty powerful feature. In Fun Spot's case, these super lines would light randomly with the cards. There was no separate ability for you to try to play for these super lines to light. So, if one of these super lines lit, then it is to your great advantage, typically, to try and play for it. In Fun Spot's case, instead of earning a larger number of replays, it just awards more score. So let's talk about the appearance of this machine, the artwork. The Backglass is very pretty. It's got a carnival theme, as many of the fun games do. The ones with fun in the title. You'll notice a pattern. These Ohio dime games typically do have the word fun in the title. In this case, you have a couple leaving what appears to be a fun house. And as they're leaving, there are several barrels with some of the score stacked up and apparently just about ready to fall on top of them. There's a woman sliding out of another exit of the funhouse. And then in the background you have a teacup ride with various couples riding, and there are tens of thousands of score on the teacups. And then in the far distance you see the other side of the teacup ride where you have a crowd waiting, lined up, ready to get in. And then front and center you have your bingo cards. And those are colored either red, green, or blue with yellow super lines. Very attractive. The cabinet is red with white spatter and white and blue ribbon stripes or swooshes that extend all the way up the head. And on it you have an exploding star motif with this gold flecked paint. Very pretty. The one pictured on IPDB that I'm going to link has a manual ball lift. Now, I don't know if they were producing those normally with a manual ball lift or not. I would assume that they would use an automatic ball lift, as they had been for years and years at this point. So let's look at the flyer and see. Nope, there's a manual ball lift right there. That's pretty interesting. And yet another thing that differentiates this from your standard bingo. Huh. So, on the Playfield, you have the carnival theme reprised. You've got a closer up view of the teacups and the couples that are riding in them. You have people lined up looking on at the teacups. You've got a aerial swing ride, which is cutting into the top of the frame. You have a roller coaster in the far background, which is so distant that it just appears to be hills with tiny ant cars on top of them. Big flag in the foreground with your carnival games lined up on the other side of the teacup ride fence. Very, very attractive artwork here, too. Very nice use of color, and what is most impressive about this, to me, is that there's just so much going on in every piece, every inch of this playfield. There's so much life and vitality. It's a very beautiful piece of art. So, I've never played one of these Ohio Dime games, but I imagine that the gameplay is just as engaging as any 6 card. The only difference is that you don't hear that beautiful music of it racking up those many, many multiple replays for your 5 in a line win. You hear some music of it ticking up the replay counter, which is disguised as a score counter, but it's not the same. Can't be. So, if anyone's listening and really loves these Ohio Dime games, or really has great experience with them, let me know, because I'd love to talk to you. I find this a very interesting piece of history, similar to the Add-A-Ball phenomenon in those territories where replay games were prohibited. This is just yet another way to get around the laws of those particular territories. It's just pretty cool. So, that's all for tonight. Thank you very much for joining me. My name again is Nick Baldridge. You can reach me at foramusementonlypodcast@gmail.com, or you can call me on the Bingos line. That's 724-BINGOS1, 724-246-4671. You can listen to us on iTunes, Stitcher, Pocket Casts via RSS, on Facebook, on Twitter at Bingo Podcast. You can follow me on Instagram, also at Bingo Podcast. Or you can listen to us on our website, which is foramusementonly.libsyn.com, at which you can buy your very own For Amusement Only t-shirt and carry me with you always. Thank you very much for listening, and I will talk to you next time.